Grab your drinks and have a seat. It's time for serial killers.
Why, hello.
Yes, there's still an echo, and hello.
I'm not even going to bring it up because I already just said it to Jay before we even started recording because I'm sick of it, Grandpa.
We're working on it.
No, we're not.
Kind of.
No, we're not.
I mean, at least it crosses my mind.
I have the ideas that I want, but Jay keeps poo-pooing them away. He keeps saying
Because
no.
this is a Star Wars room,
No.
not a botanical garden.
But we don't have a choice.
We will, and I will find
I don't
one.
think so.
Sheesh.
If anybody out there happens to be podcasters and you live in an area where you can't nail things to your wall because you're in a rental for now,
Well, let us know.
let us know what we should do to help the sound get a little bit better. If you're new here, I'm T.
And I'm Jay.
And we are here to talk to you about
Serial
killers. And I'm going to continue to tell you, because I just feel like I can. If you like listening to me talk, and if you like hearing my stories, I have another podcast that just recently started that I do with my son that is called Where the Fire Ends. And you will find that on patreon.com/where the fire ends. And you will find it on Spotify and YouTube.
Check it out.
So you really should check it out because it's all things spooky and creepy. So if you're really not into serial killers, murder, and true crime, you might be into the creepy, unexplained, and unknown, which is what we talk about over there. So if you are new here, we really do talk about serial killers.
We do. We get there eventually.
Pretty much only serial killers, maybe someday something else, but we do talk about serial killers. So if you don't feel that you are in the right place, no problem. But really, honestly, I'm sure most of you are here to actually listen to us, so we will get into it. But we always start every episode the same. We talk about what we are drinking. We suck at any sort of unison ever. So, Jay, what are you drinking?
Well, hitting it with the old water bottle.
Boring.
But I have Crystal Light in it. Wild strawberry. Got some flavor.
Boring.
You're boring.
I am drinking an Ethiopia blend iced coffee that I made with my Nespresso machine. I have some sugar-free coconut flavor in it with a little bit of coconut creamer.
Yeah, it's all right.
That's pretty good, right? Just so you know. If you are somebody who lives in an area where, they have a Trader Joe's and you're looking for an alternative milk creamer that kind of resembles half and half, seriously check out the coconut creamer from Trader Joe's because that's what I use. It's the only thing I'll use, and it literally acts like half and half, but it doesn't hurt my stomach like half and half. So that's what I'm drinking. I do find that because I am able to drink the creamer, I drink more coffee. So I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing or not.
It's not.
So one other thing I want to say real quick because it has to do with murder. And then we'll get into our serial killer. And Jay's going to probably giggle because he doesn't even know I'm saying this, but is anybody else paying attention to the fact that Brian Kohberger is asking for a new trial? Anybody out there? Because my daughter and I just sat and had a literal hour and a half long conversation about how we absolutely 100% expected this. And I actually 100% hope that he gets it because I want to see all of the evidence that we were not able to see because of the fact that he pled guilty. But now he says he didn't do it. And now he says, well, wait a minute. I was promised a bunch of stuff and I'm not getting it. So I'm actually asking for a retrial because no. Or not a retrial, but a new trial. He wants a new trial or a trial since he never actually had a trial.
Well, yeah, I didn't know about that. But what I do know is that a body was found in a city by us, and that body was a suspect in a
Quadruple homicide.
quadruple homicide.
I knew it. I did. I know. I believe this, sir. I definitely knew. I just didn't tell you. But I do know that he was in a quadruple homicide, and he was actually stopping in this city because he had some family members here, and he was stopping in here on his way out of town and ended up killing himself while he was sitting in a parking lot because the police were called, and they very quickly, the police from that town and 2 towns over all like congregated into the parking lot because there was somebody who said that they saw him there because they were very much so looking for him because he was wanted for a quadruple homicide. And they surrounded him and he shot and killed himself. So there's that.
Boo.
It's like the area we moved to was such a good area. And then Jay and I got here and it was like nothing.
Bringing it down a
nothing
level.
but crime. I don't know. Maybe we bring it with us. I don't know. And no, you nosy bitches, I'm not telling you where we live.
Negative.
So that brings us to, who are we talking about this week?
Who are we talking about this week?
This week, we are talking about Peter Dupas. But before we get any farther, I must trigger warn this episode. This episode will talk about rape and mutilation of women. So it's not something fun to talk about. It's not something fun to listen to. So I tend to trigger warn the ones that are hard. This is one of those ones. So if you don't want to listen to a story about Peter Dupas and rape and mutilation, go ahead and skip the episode. It does not bother us at all. And we'll hopefully catch you next week.
Move on by.
Because I try not to do like a bunch of trigger warning ones in a row. But I never know what they're going to be until I start researching them. So hopefully next week won't be a trigger warning one. So Peter Dupas, he has 3 to 6 victims. He doesn't have a nickname or anything like that, which I hate. I hate it.
I know.
It's
I feel like I need to give him a nickname.
Yeah, I know. His murder dates are 1997 to 1999. The location of his murders are Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. His method of murder is stabbing, and the characteristics of his murders are rape and mutilation. Peter was born July 6th, 1953 in Sydney, New South Wales. He was the youngest of 3 children, and he was born into what has been described as a fairly normal family. Now I'm going to full stop there for a second. This is not the first time that I have done research and they say fairly normal family, but then you find out later that it's not normal.
They're far from normal.
Far from normal.
Like
so,
whoever said that
must
needs
have been
an
a family
education
member
on what normal is.
Yeah. So take that with a grain of salt that he may or may not have grown up in a fairly normal family. Now, his family moves to Melbourne, Victoria when he is still a toddler, and his older siblings are quite a bit older than him. So this leads to his parents treating him pretty much like an only child because his siblings are so much older that they aren't really around very much. That's all I know about his childhood, which always tells me there probably it wasn't a great child.
Right.
Now, Peter does leave school after grade 10. He does not graduate. He does not, anything. He literally leaves. I have no idea why, but I do know he does later go back and obtain his high school certificate. So he drops out, leaves, but then later on in life he does.
And there's nothing wrong with that. So far, I don't hear anything bad. Sounds pretty normal to me.
If you don't understand, Jay did not graduate high school.
Nope.
So he pretty much feels it. Okay. But he did go back later and get his GED. So there we go. Now at age 15, Peter is visiting one of his neighbors on October 3rd, 1968. Now he asks this neighbor if he can borrow a knife so that he can peel some of the vegetables at his house. And then he proceeds to stab the woman in the neck, face, and hand. He is then apprehended and he tells police, I have no idea why I attacked her. So he then goes and spends 2 weeks in a psychiatric hospital and he is given 18 months probation. for attacking a woman with a knife. Australia, you are just as awesome as the
Get
United
your shit
States
together.
and Canada when it comes to punishment or anything of criminals. In October of 1969, again, remember he attacked that woman in October 3rd of 1968 and he was on probation for 18 months. So this is literally the next year.
Right after his probation.
No, this is the next year. 18
yeah, because
months.
probation's 18 months is a year and a half.
Yeah, so he's still on
He's
probation.
still on probation.
Peter allegedly breaks into a mortuary at Austin Hospital. Now, 2 elderly female bodies. Again, we're talking about a mortuary, so the bodies are already deceased. I need to make that clear. But 2 elderly female bodies that were in that mortuary had been horribly mutilated using a pathologist's knife. So he supposedly had broken in, completely mutilated the bodies, and there's that. I will not be going into detailed mutilations. I do know them because I am privy to that information.
They weren't good.
But it just to me seemed a little too gruesome even for us. I don't really like to do gruesome stuff, but I will give you details when I feel I need to. I don't feel the details need to be told in this story. I just think you need to understand there was mutilation. You can use your imagination, but mutilation of females. Just think about that, and most likely you're going to kind of understand what he was doing.
Got it.
July 25th of 1974. Peter now has attacked a woman in her home and ends up being sentenced to 9 years in prison with a minimum of 5 years. So he breaks into this woman's home. He threatens her at knife point. He ties her up. He rapes her. He also then threatened to hurt her baby that was in the home with her if she did not obey what he was telling her to do during the attack. So he is arrested. Like I said, he is charged, arrested, and found guilty. He receives 9 years in prison, but again has a minimum of 5, which why only 9? Like I'm not understanding. The reason I don't understand this one is because this is now his second attack. Okay. If it was his first attack, okay, I could understand 9, but it's his second attack that he has actually been found guilty of.
Because they're super nice there.
I'm not understanding why 9 years is all that he received. So Peter ends up being released from prison in 1979, which if you're keeping track of math, he went to jail in 1974 and was released in 1979. That is not 9 years. He did the minimum 5, which again, if you're going to give him 9, he has a history of attacking women with knives. Let's keep the 9.
Yeah.
He's not the type you let out of jail on good behavior.
And let's ban him from all knives.
I mean, that's maybe that was part of his thing. I don't know. Now, 2 months after his release, he attacks another 4 women over a period of 10 days. Did I tell you this one makes me angry? Because holy shit.
Oh, I'm getting
it
there.
makes me angry. So he attacks. Again, I will repeat for those of you in the back that are really, really listening. He attacked 4 more women 2 months after being released from attacking the other woman that he just served 5 years for, minimum. Over 10 days. So over 10 days, he attacks 4 women. He is sentenced to 5 years in prison on February 28th, 1980. 5 years.
Did any of them die?
No.
Just curious.
None of these women have died. It doesn't. But again, this is now 4 more women. This is now 6 women total that he has attacked, that he has been found guilty of attacking, and they give him 5 years. He was only out of jail for 2 months.
Yeah.
He does actually serve the full 5 years.
Well, at least that's a plus.
And he is released February of 1985. Now, 1 month after his release, he attacks and rapes a young woman on a beach. Now, for this, he actually is caught as well. And he is given another 12 years in prison. So I don't mean this in any sort of way, but it took for him to attack and rape 6 women and then adding a 7th before he even got a remotely long sentence. I don't understand that. My brain does not brain right.
I swear if it's like just injury versus somebody dying, they're
but
like,
none of them have died.
That's what I'm saying. Is like if it's just injury, they're like, it's not that bad.
I don't. And again, what a slap in the face to those victims. Because those women are never going to be the same. And then to know their attacker is only in jail for 5 years or 9 years or 12 years, and he'll be out.
Horseshit.
However, he is let out of prison again early. He only serves 7 of the 12 years that he was supposed to serve.
Well, that's not a shocker.
So again, if we're keeping track, over the last, 20 or 15 years, he has been sentenced to a total of 26 years. I guess it's not 15, it's like 20 something years. Over the last 20-ish years, he has been sentenced between all these multiple attacks to a total of 26 years. And he has only served 17 of those 26. That's all he served. So this time now brings us to January 1994. Now, this is 2 years after Peter has now been released for the umpteenth time from prison. He follows a woman at Lake Epilock, and he holds her down at knife point as he's trying to rape her in a bathroom. Thankfully, her friends notice that she's kind of been gone a little longer than they expected her to be gone. And they go into the bathroom to check on her, and they find him attacking her. And they actually chase him off. He runs. Now, as he's driving, he jumps in his car to drive off because he's being chased by these women. And he ends up crashing his car. He crashes his car.
Good.
And so the police show up and they arrest him. Now,
and he gets like 6 months probation.
Now, let me tell you. He pleads guilty on August 18th, 1994. And his punishment he receives is 3 years and 9 months in jail. This is literally the, 8th, 9th woman that he's attacked?
Yeah, that's crazy.
He ends up being released in 1996. So he doesn't even fully serve the 3 years. He serves 2 years in prison. Okay. And he moves to Pascoe Vale, which is a suburb of Melbourne. Now, on October 4th, 1997, Margaret Josephine Mayer, she's 40 years old and she's working as a prostitute. She was last seen alive at the Safeway in Broadmeadow at 12:20 a.m. And in the afternoon that day, a man who was collecting cans ends up finding her body under a cardboard box. She had been stabbed in the wrist and had bruising around her neck. There was blunt force trauma to her face, and she had lacerations on her arm. She had been mutilated. Again, use your imagination. I will not go into detail.
Yeah.
Now, on November 1st, 1997, 25-year-old Marcina Halvigus, she is killed while at Faulkner Cemetery. She is at the cemetery visiting the grave of her grandmother, and she is supposed to meet up with her fiance later that day, but she never shows up. So, of course, her fiance starts to get a little bit concerned. He calls the cops and realizes she's nowhere to be found. They can't find her anywhere. So on November 5th, so 4 days later, Marcina's body is found in an empty lot 3 graves away from her grandmother's.
That's creepy.
Yeah. She had suffered 87 stab wounds in the neck, breasts, and knees.
That is aggressive.
Yes. Extremely. Then on April 19th, 1999, the body of Nicole Amanda Patterson is found by her friend. She was horribly mutilated. She was naked from the waist down, and she had small pieces of tape that were attached to her body, like all over her body. And she had suffered a total of 27 stab wounds to her chest and back. Now, Nicole was a 28-year-old psychotherapist, and she was also a youth counselor, and she had used her home as her office. So on the day of the murder, neighbors had actually reported hearing screaming that that afternoon. And her boyfriend also had said he had been unable to get a hold of her like all day. And so her friend ended up going over to her house because nobody could get a hold of her. And that's where she finds her body. So during the investigation of Nicole's murder, police do find that she had been talking to a new client. And in her diary, she had the name of this new client, and the client's name was Malcolm. And there was a telephone number that was listed with Malcolm's name. Now, the number, when they traced it and looked into it, they found that it was traced back to a student who attended La Trobe University. So they go to La Trobe University. They go and talk to this kid. And after talking to the student, what they find out is that this man, Peter, had offered to give the student work in exchange for using his phone. So Peter had found this student, was like, hey, I'll give you some work to do. I'll let you, maybe give you some money, but can I use your phone? Now, Peter ends up getting arrested on April 22nd of 1999 due to the, well, number one, all they had to do was find out his name and be like, oh shit, this man's been in jail like 800 times for killing women exactly the same way as these ones.
Yeah, like look him up.
Yeah. So he's arrested on April 22nd, 1999, and he is subsequently charged with the murder of Nicole Patterson. Now, telephone records did show that Peter had called Nicole 3 different times. The claim was that he was apparently asking to arrange a counseling session with her to help him treat depression and a gambling addiction. Now, Peter tells police that he ends up canceling his appointment because after he had talked to Nicole a couple of times, she basically told him that the things that he wanted to see her for were things that he could actually work on his own and didn't have to come and see her in person, which, by the way, no, she didn't. I'm going to tell you right now. No, the fuck she didn't. She definitely did not did not tell him on the phone like, oh, you can deal with your depression on your own.
Yeah, no.
You can battle your gambling addiction on your own. That's not how that works. And so, no, she did not. But I believe Peter was telling the police this to try to, make it towards like, I never actually met up with her. I don't know. Police also notice as they're talking to him that he has scratches on his hand and on his face. And the scratches are what you would deem to be consistent with a struggle, not necessarily something that you just like snag on something. Now, when Peter is asked, like, hey, what happened to your face? What happened to your hand? Peter says, oh, yeah, those came from when I was working in my backyard. And there was this piece of wood that hit me while I was using...
Right in the face.
No. Well, maybe because he said, this piece of wood hit me while I was using my lathe. Now, if you don't know what a lathe is, Jay, tell them what a lathe is. Because I know you know what a lathe is.
It's a spindle thing with wood.
That's a spindle thing with wood.
No, you hook wood to it. On each side, it spins at a very rapid pace. And then you take these little tools so you can shape the wood.
So would it be plausible that a piece of wood would hit him in the face?
It's possible.
Yeah, using the lathe. Okay, that's a real, actually, that's really could be something that happens. Okay? So they are like, oh, okay. The kicker of this was, though, he didn't own a damn lathe.
They're like, where's the lathe? He's like,
So then he changes his story and says, well, no, what I meant was these scratches came from a piece of wood that was in the shed and it like caught me as I walked by.
But I was going to use a lathe if I bought one.
Exactly. So police are like, okay. So they end up getting a warrant or whatever they need in Australia, and they start to search his home. When they are in his home, they find a bloodstained piece of clothing, PVC tape that was very similar to the tape that was found on Nicole's body, a ski mask, newspaper clippings with details of Nicole's murder, and a paper with an advertisement for her services in his home. Peter then goes to trial, and it takes the jury less than 3 hours to convict him.
As it should. All you got to do is bring up his damn background.
Exactly. So on August 22nd of 2000, he is sentenced to life imprisonment without parole. It's about damn time.
Yup.
Now, Peter does appeal this conviction in August of 2001. but this appeal is dismissed. They don't even want to hear it. They basically said,
They're like, no,
we're not even going to hear your bullshit, sir.
shut up.
Literally, you have had so many chances. Like most people don't get as many chances as you have had. Now, in 2004, Peter ends up going on trial for the murder of Margaret Mayer. Now, during this trial, the similarities between the murders of Nicole and Margaret are shown to be most likely the same man who had committed both crimes, because the mutilations were the same, the stabbings were the same, the excessive use of force, all that. There was a piece of this that I will not go into detail with, but the biggest key factor to it was how the bodies were mutilated. Damn near identical.
Yeah.
And it's not the kind of mutilation that just like, well, mutilation's not normal, so I can't even say that. But it's not, I mean, the mutilation that he did was a very specific way of mutilating these women, and they were so much the same that it was like, there is not another sicko like this in the world. They also found a black glove near the body of Margaret, and eventually, because now we're talking 2004, the DNA that was found inside the glove also matched Peter. So that put him with the body at some point.
They're like, gotcha, bitch.
Now, the jury was not told when they were in their thing, they were not told that he was already serving a life sentence for Nicole's murder. So they were not even told that he had been convicted or served for something else. So they end up, and I almost wonder if they did that so that they wouldn't copy the sentence or maybe give him a lesser sentence, knowing that he was already in jail for life. So they end up convicting him. He is found guilty and he is sentenced to another life term in prison. Then in July of 25th,
which he serves 2 years of. No.
Then July 25th of 2005, Peter appeals the convictions again. And again, this time it is also like, we don't want to hear your shit, Peter. So it's dismissed. Then on September 11th, 2006, Peter is charged with the murder of Marcina Halvigus. Now, it was said that he had confessed to this crime while he was gardening in prison, which also, really, what a rough life. Now, on September 26th of 2006, he ends up pleading not guilty. So he supposedly admits this to somebody, or a few people overhear him when they're gardening in the prison. They talk to whoever. He comes out and says, I never said that. So he pleads.
The best part is like, I'm listening to you talk and you're like, we're talking about murders and shit. And you're
they're
like,
gardening.
They were talking about gardening.
I was like, what else are you going to do with your life?
I know, right?
So he ends up pleading not guilty. Now, he does go to trial for this, and the trial lasts 22 days. And on August 9th of 2007, he is found guilty of the murder of Marcina Halvigus, and he receives a third life sentence. On September 17th of 2009, he appeals this conviction. And he appeals one of his convictions. And to be honest, I'm pretty positive it's the very first conviction is what he was still trying to appeal. And what he was trying to say is he was trying to say that the directions that the judge had given to the jury were inadequate, and therefore his sentence shouldn't have been what it was. And this is actually upheld. It actually is upheld. So he goes to trial for a second time in October 26th of 2010. And he is once again convicted again in November of 2010 and receives another life sentence. So it didn't really matter. Now in 2018, he was charged with the murder of 95-year-old Kathleen Downs. However, the case was dropped due to the health of one of the witnesses. And it was noted that the judge had said, this case is not necessarily over. Peter can be retried at any time for the murder of Kathleen Downs. But what it sounds like, because again, she was 95 years old. My guess would be that their witness was probably an elderly person who probably couldn't stand trial. And so therefore, he probably will get away with the murder of Kathleen, unfortunately, because I don't think they would have evidence that would put him there. It was a witness, I think.
Which is stupid.
Totally terrible. So that is the story of Peter Dupas. Would you like the
I was like,
shots?
please tell me you got some
We
shots.
got some shots. So Peter is actually suspected of killing Helen McMahon, who was 47. He was actually living in the area during the time of her murder, and Renita Brunton, who was 31. So that's 2 more women that he was that he is suspected of. So that's where his 3 to 6 comes from, of killing women. There was a strange looking wound. So remember when we were talking about the 2 elderly women that were in the morgue that he had mutilated?
Yep.
Okay, well, one of the women on the thigh of one of the women, there was like a really strange wound that Peter had inflicted onto the woman's thigh. And that same exact strange looking wound actually showed up on another one of his victims.
Interesting.
That's how they were able to link him to the morgue.
I wonder what it was from.
I don't know, and they don't describe like what the wound looked like or anything like that, but whatever. But again, like I said, he mutilated these bodies and he did it the same way. So whatever he did on the thigh, they were able to now link him to the morgue break-in because of that thigh injury. Now, in November of 1973, a detective who had interviewed Peter had this to say, and I quote, "He stood out. To me, the guy was just pure evil. His attacks were all carefully planned, and he showed no remorse. We could see where he was going. I remember thinking, this guy could go all the way. He is an unmitigated liar. He is a very dangerous young person who will continue to offend where females are concerned and will possibly cause the death of one of his victims if he is not straightened out." And yet that motherfucker was given not 1, not 2, but 4 separate chances by getting out of prison after attacking the women before he started murdering. So this police officer literally tells you he looked at him and knew he was an evil person, looked at him and knew he was bad and said he is going to harm somebody someday. And yet they let him out of jail early almost every time or gave him like the most minimal friggin' sentences.
I hope that guy's walking around like, see, I fucking told you.
Told you so. Now, Peter got married in 1987 to a mental health nurse at one of the prisons.
Is this like the Joker and Harley Quinn?
No, but she was 16 years older than him.
Well, that explains it.
Now, she said, and I quote, "He insisted that he was in love with me and that with my help, he could come out of himself and become a normal person. I agreed to marry him, not out of the particular love for this man, but from a sense of responsibility to helping him become a useful member of the community. In my mind, our relationship was mother and son. Our sex
That's
life
creepy.
Our sex life was very basic. Ma'am, you should not have had a sex life if you were mother and
No.
son. Our sex life was very basic, almost non-existent. It's the almost that you got me with. Sorry. I would go along with it out of the sense of responsibility. It got to the stage where I could not bear him touching me. So she ended up divorcing him in the mid-90s. And she described Peter as lazy, self-obsessed, needy, and a snob.
Like, what was she expecting?
I don't know. But here's what fucking bothers me. He met you in prison because you worked in the prison. Then you married him, but you tell everybody that you married him because you were trying to help him as a motherly figure. But I'm going to sleep with him because I'm the mom. I'm the wife. So I got to do my wifely duties. I kind of feel like you're also a predator.
Absolutely.
I apologize if that offends anybody. I feel like she is a predator because you literally worked in a prison and you are 16 years older than this man who is literally a rapist at the time that you meet him. He's in jail, for rape. And you decide that you want to help him by being a motherly figure, but you'll sleep with him and do the wifely duties because that's what you got to do. Well, one, you should never have even, he was a prisoner. Like you don't form any sort of relationship like that with a prisoner. So the fact that you did makes me feel like you're a predator on people who are in prison. It's like that authority thing, right? It just bugged me. Sorry, but it just fucking bugged me. And then final shot is the judge in Nicole's trial. He had this to say during his sentencing. And I quote, "The prospects of your eventual rehabilitation must be regarded as so close to hopeless that they can be effectively discounted. There is no indication whatsoever that you have experienced any sense of remorse for what you have done, and I doubt that you are capable of any such human response. At a fundamental level, as human beings, you present for us the awful, threatening, and unanswerable question, how did you come to be as you are?" You just nailed it. That judge just nailed it. That's a perfect way to put it all into a wrap it all up, right? Like, how did you become who you are? Because you're a terrible human being who has no remorse for anything that you've done. And you've been given multiple opportunities to feel bad, fix yourself, change yourself, become somebody different. The country, I guess, of Australia, they really gave you a lot of opportunities.
No, they really need to like talk to their judges.
I'm hoping that they've, come up in the ages. Because if you notice, that was back in the earlier ages. And then in the early 90s is when they were, or like in the 90s, he was like, you're going to jail for life, right? Because they were like, no, we're not playing this weird game with you. So anyways, that's the story. That's the total story, shots and all, of Peter Dupas.
And down under. Well, again, this is one of those episodes where the person was given way, way, way too many chances.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, like, when somebody gets arrested, do people not look at, like, what have you done before? And been like, oh, shit, you've stabbed 9 fucking ladies.
Yeah, the justice system failed.
It's crazy.
I would say I can understand. I can understand. Maybe the second. I can understand the first because he was 15. Maybe his records were, sealed and you couldn't see it. So I could maybe understand the first woman. But after the first woman, and then the second woman, and then the third and the fourth, and the fifth and the sixth,
too many.
And doing it all the same way. You literally would attack these women. You would stab them repeatedly and rape them. All the same. Before you even jumped to the start of killing them. There were so many red flags. There were so many key signs of caution that should have been taken, and none of them were. This is 100% Peter Dupas's fault.
100%.
But Australia, the justice system failed every single one of those victims and their families because they could have had that man behind bars way earlier. Way. Like with how many times he attacked women, he should have been in jail for the rest of his life. Again, we over here, and by we, I mean me, I do not believe that somebody like Peter Dupas could have ever been rehabilitated. So rehabilitation should have been out the window after the second time. I actually personally, in my heart of hearts, believe after the first time. I am one of those proponents of no second chances for pedophiles and violent rapists. I do not think that violent rapists deserve a second chance, and I do not think pedophiles deserve a second chance. And the reason I don't is exactly this story right here. Because I have never seen a pedophile or a violent rapist go to jail, get out, not do it again.
Yep.
So we don't need to keep doing this like 15 million chances.
Like literally just test them. Like give them a knife and like
I don't even
have like a security guard woman in there and see if he's aggressive.
It's crazy. Because again, there's something not right. It's not like there's a lot of things that go on with people who are like this, but it's like he literally either couldn't control himself or didn't care to. And again, when you're a violent rapist or a pedophile, that is the only people in this world genuinely that I don't think deserve second chances.
Yeah.
I have, hits and misses when it comes to murder, but a pedophile and a violent rapist, there is no room in my mind for a second chance. And the reason why is because your first chance was too many.
Yep.
Your first attack was too many. And if we give you a chance to go out a second time, we're not going to get to you before you do it again. And you've now harmed somebody else or killed somebody else. So I am a firm believer in that. And these stories right here are always the ones that solidify it for me. This is why this man should not have been out of prison. And he should not have been out after the 5th and 6th time that he attacked women. And yet he was given, 3 years after attacking women for years.
The way I look at it too is if it's the same type of attack,
Exactly.
like that should just multiply your time.
I know.
Right?
I know.
Like
I don't.
If it's different things, you're like, okay, this person's just a bad person, but like the same thing every time, which just means they're not learning, they're not going to change, they're going to continue to do it.
Exactly.
So shame on you.
Exactly. So if you liked what you heard, if you like to hear our stories that we tell you about, please make sure that you are liking and following us and sharing us with anybody else who you think might be interested in listening to serial killers, true crime, and all the things. And they might like our voices. They might like Jay and I. You never know.
Yeah.
Don't forget to check out our Patreon because we are going to be having our very first bonus episode up very soon. Our bonus episodes, as I've explained before, are the aftertaste. And we will be dissecting movies.
And you'll really like the first one.
That are based off of true crime. So it'll be something that we've studied the case. We're going to watch the movie and we're going to dissect it. And when I say dissect, I am not saying we're going to sit there and like be just shitty. We're going to literally tell you the premise of the movie. We'll point out
the good, bad, the ugly.
Yeah, we're going to say like, hey, this was an overall good movie, but here's the things they got wrong. Or this movie was really entertaining, but all of their facts were wrong, or whatever the case may be. Or maybe it's a holy cow, this was the best movie we've ever seen.
Yeah, like, hey,
so accurate.
Watch it. It's a cool movie,
yeah.
But you're not going to learn anything, or you're not going to learn the appropriate
or just to set some records straight, because our first episode is definitely I got a list of things that I'm like, I need to nitpick, but it's not going to be in a super bad way. But that is going to be coming out soon. And to get those, you do have to be following us and part of our Patreon, which is at patreon.com/Fatal Blend. You can join our memberships there. You can become a free member, or we have 2 different tiers. If you are part of either of the tiers, you also will be privy to helping vote for future episodes, serial killers to talk about, or giving us suggestions of things you would like us to look into. And you also will be privy to our Case File Fridays, which is where every Friday a new thing is posted on Patreon that talks about some sort of true crime case, either currently going on or something that is not super common, but it would give you something to dive into on your own time. But all those things, you still have to be a member. So other than that, lots of things to say. I just want to say thank you once again for listening to us tell you the story about Peter Dupas, the man who literally went to jail far too many times and still ended up being able to kill 6 women because the Australian justice system literally failed. Until next week, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Remember to lock your doors and bar your windows. Until next time.